The sound of a pen scratching across paper might not mean much to most people, but to me that night it felt like a knife slicing through everything I had worked for. I was standing in a dining room so quiet you could hear the clink of ice against glass, the shuffle of leather shoes across marble, the low hum of billion-dollar deals whispered over wine. And there he was, sitting in the corner booth, a man so powerful the air seemed to bend around him. When he looked up at me, his eyes didn't see a human being. They scanned me like a product on a shelf. Then he pushed the billfold toward me with a flick of his fingers, and inside, I found 4 words that would change everything. Staff is clearly untrained. Untrained. The words stuck in my chest like glass. He hadn't just stiffed me on the tip. He hadn't just humiliated me in front of my coworkers. He'd taken the very thing I had poured my heart into, the work that had defined my life, and reduced it to nothing. And the cruelest part, he didn't even know who I really was. See, 6 months earlier, I wasn't wearing an apron. I wasn't serving water with a smile that never reached my eyes. I was sitting 30 floors higher in a glass office, the national director of training for one of the largest luxury restaurant groups in the country. I had written the Bible of Service, a 250-page philosophy we called the Horizon Standard. I spent 2 years on it, surveying customers, shadowing staff, writing every word, every little detail, from the way a wine bottle should be tilted to the exact steps for handling a complaint. That manual reduced turnover, boosted loyalty, saved millions. It was my masterpiece. But when the market dipped, the board wanted streamlining. Streamlining meant I was out. My salary, my pride, my place in the world all gone. I still had rent in Manhattan, still had a younger sister at NYU who counted on me, so I swallowed what was left of my pride and applied for a server job at the very restaurant built on my playbook. The irony burned, but survival doesn't leave room for dignity. So there I was, working shifts, answering questions I had once trained managers to ask. Nobody knew my past. To them, I was just another waitress, invisible, disposable. Until the night Samuel Cross walked in. You know his type, the corporate raider who buys companies, strips them, and leaves bones behind. They called him the Undertaker on Wall Street because wherever he showed up, careers died. He sat in my section, and from the first word out of his mouth, I knew he wasn't here to enjoy the food. He was here hunting. Sparkling water, he said without glancing at me. 1 slice of lime wedge, not wheel. Glass pristine. No lipstick marks. His associate, a jittery young man, flinched at his tone. I didn't flinch. I repeated the order calmly, exactly as page 98 of the manual instructed, because I had written that page. For the next hour, it was like taking an oral exam on a subject I invented. Diver scallops, check. Carnaroli rice, not arborio, check. Vintage, 2023, Sancerre with minerality, check. Every answer precise. Every move flawless. He picked at the food like he was dissecting a balance sheet. When the check came, he stared at me longer than necessary, scribbled something, and left without a word. I waited until he was gone before I opened the bill. No tip. Just that note. Staff is clearly untrained. My heart dropped. My coworkers tried to comfort me, told me not to take it personally, but I knew better. This wasn't just some cruel man getting his kicks. It was calculated. And the next morning, the news proved it. Headline after headline screamed that Samuel Cross was launching a hostile takeover of Horizon Group, the very company I had once served. His official statement, that Horizon had systemic failures in staff training and its so-called philosophy, was a hollow slogan. My philosophy. My life's work. He had staged that lunch twisted perfection into failure and used it as ammunition to gut the company. I could have walked away. I could have stayed a ghost, let the empire burn. But something in me snapped. I went to the closet, pulled out the black case I hadn't touched since the day they fired me, and inside was everything raw data, focus group notes, financial models, proof that my system worked. I stared at it and realized he'd underestimated me. He thought he was humiliating a waitress. He was poking the architect. For days, I built my counterattack, slide after slide, graph after graph, every number weaponized. 22% drop in turnover converted into 480 employees who stayed. 18% increase in customer satisfaction paired with real quotes. She read my mind. And best service in a decade, $50 million in added revenue. At the top of the deck, his own words, a hollow slogan. My goal was simple: prove it wasn't hollow, prove he was lying and burn his credibility to the ground. But how? An email deleted, a phone call ignored. I needed to look him in the eye and make the truth impossible to dodge. And fate handed me the chance. Samuel Cross was scheduled to deliver the keynote at the Future of Hospitality Symposium in 3 days. So I did what any desperate strategist would do. I bought a black and white server's uniform, slipped into the conference through the staff entrance, and carried a tray of champagne into the VIP lounge. My heart hammered, but my face was calm. That's the thing about working service. You learn to be invisible until the moment you decide not to be. He was holding court laughing with my old boss, Arthur Jameson, the same man who'd tossed me aside as fat to trim. And across the room stood Rebecca Lane, the most feared financial columnist in the city. She had ruined CEOs with a single article. If I could get her attention, the truth wouldn't just sting, it would spread like wildfire. So when Cross turned to leave, I stepped into his path tray, steady in my hand. "Excuse me, Mr. Cross," I said. He frowned, irritated. "What is it? I'm late." "You left something behind at the Horizon Club," I replied. "A note," said the staff was untrained. His smirk told me he remembered. "Ah, yes. Exemplary of the company's decline. If you have a complaint, take it up with your manager. I have work to do." I blocked his step again. My manager thought my service was flawless because it followed the training manual, exactly the one I wrote. The smirk slipped. Arthur Jameson's face drained of color. The room went silent. You Cross spat, trying to laugh it off. "You're claiming you authored that hollow slogan." "It's not a slogan," I said, pulling the small USB from my pocket, holding it like a detonator. "It's a fully costed operational strategy, backed by 2 years of research and millions in proven returns. My name is Elena Rivera. I built the Horizon Standard, and your entire takeover is built on a lie." Gasps rippled through the lounge. Rebecca Lane had drifted closer, eyes sharp, recording every word. Cross's face turned, red veins popping at his temple. "Security," he started, but Lane cut him off with a voice like steel. "No. Let her speak." I turned slightly, making sure she saw me. "This so-called untrained waitress has the data. Every number, every email, every chart that proves the Horizon Standard isn't just real, it's profitable. He's not saving a company. He's sabotaging it." For the first time, the Undertaker of Wall Street had no words. That night, Rebecca Lane's column dropped like a bomb. The waitress who wrote the manual. It laid out everything. The humiliating lunch, the staged insult, the hostile takeover, and the truth I carried in my briefcase. The story exploded. Cross's bid collapsed. Investors fled. By morning, his empire was bleeding. And me. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. colleagues, old friends, strangers, all congratulating me. Even Arthur Jameson called, his voice trembling as he begged me to return, offered me a new title, more money than I'd ever imagined. For a second, I almost said yes. But then I looked around my tiny apartment, the war room where I had taken down a billionaire, and I realized I wasn't that ghost anymore. I didn't want to go back, so I said no. Instead, I built my own firm, Rivera Consulting, and my first client, ironically, was Horizon itself. Only this time I set the terms. Frank, the manager who had my back, became regional director. My friend Marisol, the fiery server who never lost her smile, was promoted to national trainer. We rebuilt the culture from the ground up, not because shareholders demanded it, but because people deserved it. Months later, over dinner with Marisol, my sister texted me. Professor used your story as a case study today, said it was the best example of asymmetric information and reputational leverage he'd ever seen. You're literally a textbook now. So proud of you, sis. I smiled, a real smile this time, because what started as humiliation, a zero tip meant to erase me, had become the spark for everything. And here's where I leave you with a question. When someone in power dismisses you, humiliates you, tells you that your work is worthless, what do? Do you swallow it? Stay invisible, or do you fight back and make them choke on their own arrogance? Tell me in the comments. Have you ever had to stand up and prove your worth when someone tried to take it from you? Because if there's one thing my story proves, it's this: your true value can't be defined by someone else's pen stroke. Only you decide what it's worth.